Hey everybody, why So Wookie here. In this video, we're going to take a look at some recent posts that have been made on the Alex the Pubg dev account, which is basically a Twitter account on, Twitter, which is a Pubg dev. And every now and again, they tease out various different things. There's been quite a few teasers that started on November the 4th, so we're just going to go through those today and discuss what that could possibly mean for Pubg. If you find this video interesting, consider liking and subscribe to see more. So, the first thing is that on November the 4th, Alex the Pubg dev posted, Urban Warfare in Pubg, would it be pretty cool? So it's like, it's a question, but it seems more of a statement to me. So it's like, I think they've wanted to do Urban Warfare for a good time now. I think an urban map would be really good. Some of the best fights that you have are like in the Carrick towns and cities and in Los Leones and stuff like that. So if they had a map like that but on a larger scale, which is more vertical than wide, then that'd be pretty good. But yeah, so I mean the next post kind of goes into it as a bit more. So on the November the 5th, the day after, he said, I'm sure there'll be someone to like, someone to hate though. This is going to be a small map. It's focusing on gunplay and there will be many factors that hinder survival. Very, very different. It doesn't mean we'll only build small maps. I'm not supposed to say much though. So, I mean, for me, that's referring to the post from the previous day, definitely. So, it's going to be a very small map. I think it might actually be smaller than Carrick. Carrick's a 2v2, which is currently the smallest map. Now, I reckon if they're going to do like a full urban warfare, buildings, skyscrapers, maybe 15 stories high, completely lootable on every single floor, or maybe every other floor, like on some of the large buildings on Los Leones, then I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 1x1 map. Now, I'd say out of that 1x1, maybe 70% of the map would be actual buildings and city, with maybe some outcrops on the outside, with maybe, a couple of fields and, maybe the occasional house just out of the city. And the reason I don't think it'll probably be 64 players as well, just like Carrick, not 100. But the reason I don't think it's going to matter particularly if it's smaller is because you'll be able to land on top of the big buildings or on the floor. So that straight away splits off the players because some will be at the top of the big buildings, some will get people who prefer to land on the floor, and they could even have it where on some of the buildings, say like the side of the building's been blasted off, like it's been hit by a massive explosion, you could land into the middle of the buildings. Stuff like that would spread players out fine, but it'd add a completely different dynamic to the game. There'd be a lot of verticality to the combat, and I think that'd be really good. Now, he also mentions it's focusing on gunplay, and there will be many factors that hinder survival. Now, one of those factors I think he's referring to is this new vehicle that's teased in this little video here. So, at first, when I saw this, I thought, oh, it's a newer, improved loot truck, because I mean, currently the loot trucks are super duper easy to take down as a squad, and they offer no real protection for themselves. So I thought, oh, this could be a new loot truck where it can shoot back with its turret, and it adds a little bit more risk reward to it because it can just gun you down. You can't just stand in front of it shooting the hell out of it. But then when I thought about it and I paired it up with the previous post that says there'll be many different things that hinder survival, what might be interesting is if these vehicles are driving around on the floor of this urban map, which is pretty cool thought. So being on the ground and moving around like that could actually be a lot more dangerous. And then they could have different ways to get between the buildings, maybe like platforms, cranes that you can run along, stuff like that. But also there's likely to be another transportation method, which is the final thing, which is this image of a parachute on the floor. So it's like a lootable parachute. Now, this would be quite interesting because say you landed on the top of one of the buildings, the ring's closing in, you don't have time to go right down to the ground floor in your tower building, move across the street, and then go up another one. So what you could do is grab one of these lootable parachutes, which hopefully act as a level 2 backpack as well, and then you can jump and pull the chute again and go and land in another building or take yourself down to the ground. It'd be really cool. I mean, mid-game parachutes, it'd be pretty good. I believe they've got a feature similar to this in Call of Duty where you have it all the time. But yeah, in PUBG it'd be completely new. And that's kind of it. So that's all the different teases that he's had on the PUBG Alex the Dev account. I definitely recommend following that account if you don't already. It's really interesting, and there are teases quite often on that. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider liking and subscribing to see more. Wookie out.